I don't know about where you live, but here in London, the weather is starting to get colder and I'm starting to see myself transition from my autumn wardrobe into my winter wardrobe. So I feel like it's time to do the winter version of the timeless autumn fashion video I did a few months ago that a lot of you loved. And I want to cover the same basic idea that in winter fashion and in all seasonal fashion, I guess, there's a lot of reoccurring styles, materials, colors, themes, silhouettes, etc. that come back into fashion year after year and don't rely on what's trending on TikTok. So if you follow them, you end up with a wardrobe that feels classic and timeless and you end up buying less. Before we do, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Katie. I talk about sustainable fashion, overconsumption, and how personal style can help us be more sustainable in our wardrobes. So if that sounds good to you, then consider subscribing to me on here and following me on all my other social media. But anyway, let's get into the video. A few things I want to mention before I start talking about specific styles and textures and materials you should look out for is that obviously there's a lot of overlap with our autumn wardrobes and you should pull in as much of your autumn wardrobe into winter as you possibly can. I mean, I spoke in the last video about how tartan is massive for autumn. It's also massive for winter. And although you might style it differently now that the weather's colder, it should still be used as much as possible in your wardrobe and you can have fun with styling it in different ways too. I've already got a Pinterest board made that kind of accompanies this video and I'll be adding to over the months as I find new inspiration. So feel free to go check that out. Lastly, this isn't meant to be a shopping list of what you should go out and buy. And I want to make that really clear. I'm not saying that you 100% need all of these items in your wardrobe. This video should be more inspirational and get you thinking about if you were to be purchasing something, what you should look for in that item to make sure that it lasts as long as possible and it's not so heavily influenced on what's trending right now. I've grouped my points into subjects. So firstly, I'm going to be doing styling and silhouettes. Then I'm going to move on to colors and patterns. Then I'm going to talk about specific items and then I'm going to finish with textures. So feel free to skip around the video if you want to go to a specific section. If not, it should all flow quite nicely. Firstly, I do want to talk about silhouettes because I feel like it's an overarching theme for everything. I think in winter, the oversized silhouette is so classic. Most likely we want to be as warm as possible in the colder months. Because of this, I feel like the bundled up, drowning in fabric silhouette is really, really chic. And it can also be a really great opportunity to play with fashion and play with your layering in a way that summer just doesn't really provide for me. I mean, because you're showing so little skin and you can almost look like you're drowning in fabric. Like I'm thinking a head to toe look that's like long overcoat, hat on top, scarf, bundled sort of look. Outfits rely less on the silhouette you're giving and you need to therefore introduce interest in other ways.
If an outfit's not interesting through color, then it has to be interesting through shape. And if it's not interesting by shape, then it has to be interesting through texture. And if it's not interesting by texture, then it has to be interesting by color.
For example, varying the textures of all the items you're bundled up in, or playing with colors, whether that be matching different tones or doing an all monochrome look. But yeah, there's something I absolutely love about looking like you're drowning in fabric in the winter, but you've also thought about how all those different heavy pieces are working together to create a story and to still create as much interest. But yeah, specifically, I think there's something so chic about having a really long overcoat that's in like a really heavy wool or something and kind of looking like you're drowning in fabric, but also being very intentional about how you've matched that to other parts of your outfit and how, although your outfit relies on one big item versus, you know, showing multiple items that fit together and play on each other, you can still show your personality even with like tiny accessories and, you know, not let the massive coat overwhelm the look too much. There's also something really chic right now about not having a silhouette, I think, and I think this is kind of a macro trend that's happening of people wearing looser, oversized silhouettes and not really caring that it doesn't show off their figure too much. I think leaning into that, especially in winter, is a really easy way to look like you know what you're doing with fashion. Of course, this isn't the only silhouette in fashion. You can have a big puffer coat on top, but then like skinnier bottoms like jeans or leggings, and then have bigger boots as well. And you can play with proportion that way and, you know, make silhouette the interesting part of your outfit if you want to. I'm just saying, if you want to go for something really simple and quite striking, then a massive coat could be the simplest solution. Okay, moving on to colors and patterns. No one's going to be surprised if I say red and green, but I think what's been happening recently is people are either going all in or very subtle with their pops of green, pops of red, and I guess color in general with outfits. I really like either going for like an all red monochrome look, like down to like the tights and the shoes. A lot of us probably do have some red in our wardrobe. I mean, it's trending recently, but it's also always been a very popular color. So I think this might be an easier look than a lot of us think. Or alternatively, you go for something like an all black look, but you have a pop of red. Or you have clothing that is mostly some other color, but it has like red detailing. Like I'm thinking like a white sweater with some red pattern on the top, which is just like a nod towards Christmas. A couple of things that I think make this really versatile is that they don't have to be bright red, bright green, which you probably more associate with Christmas. Obviously, burgundy is trending right now, and if that seems to suit your color palette more, suits your personal style, then it could be a really good time to find some pieces that you'll keep forever. Likewise, darker green would probably suit my color palette more. I'm not really one for bright colors, so I probably would look to shop this in darker tones. And I think also you can really play with your personal style here because there's so many variations of how you can introduce red and green into your wardrobe. Like obviously you can go for buying a garment in this color, like knitwear or a cute skirt or something. But equally, you can buy shoes, you can buy tights, you can buy bags, you can buy accessories, you can buy hair accessories. You could even just do like a red lipstick and play with it in your makeup instead. And I think it's really worth paying attention to what would work for your wardrobe and your personal style, and thinking about a lot of different factors before you jump into this purchase. Like, do you want to wear it a lot? In which case you should probably maybe go for like a bag or a belt or something that you can pair with a lot of outfits. Or is this something you just want to roll out like around Christmas time, in which case going for a bigger piece like a dress or a jumper could work. I think, again, no one's going to be surprised when I mention that silver and chrome pieces are also really trendy around winter. I think there's just something about the cool metal versus the warmer gold that works really well over winter. Equally, you'd definitely be able to get away with your gold pieces. So obviously, if you're a gold girly, don't throw out all your pieces. But yeah, these can be really fun to play with. You could play with it obviously in jewellery and rings, but equally in hair accessories again, or shoes, or, you know, trying to find unexpected ways to bring in these colors is something I think is really chic. And finding staple pieces that feel like you and wearing them to death is just going to help with that kind of signature style and give you something you can wear every day to feel a little bit trendy and a little bit more fashionable. I think I already mentioned from my autumn video, but tartan and plaid are patterns that continually come back over Christmas and really feel very cozy, very English countryside. Even if you're not from England, I think you're going to get away with it. I've seen recently on the catwalks some gorgeous trends. Like, for example, this plaid coat that's like a maxi coat again would be perfect for bundling up and would look really seasonal and appropriate. Equally, I've seen plaid boots on the runway, which I think are really, really cool. Not something potentially I would buy, but if this is your personal style, you wear a lot of boots, then buying them in a tartan print is a very cool statement piece that says you're not afraid to play around with items that are typically neutral. Kind of bouncing back to colors quickly, winter whites is a phrase for a reason. I think white is so chic in winter, and especially all white monochrome looks can just be really, really striking, especially when, again, you're playing with textures and materials to make that outfit more interesting if it's all just one color. Like, for example, this photo I found on Instagram. I absolutely love what she's done here. I love the silhouette of it. I love how they've introduced different materials to not make the all white too boring. I love the pop of green in the bag. I just think this is so classic. Okay, back to patterns. Argyle and Fair Isle knitting is so timeless. They've been established for years now, and buying something in this pattern is a pretty safe bet, I would say. Obviously, knitwear is something most of us turn to in winter, and although neutrals can work for a lot of different outfits, I think buying something in a pattern like this, which feels like a neutral but still holds a little bit of interest, can make all the difference in elevating your outfits. Keeping in mind that red and green, white are classic colors for winter, it could be a good idea to buy them with hints of these colors, but equally, I don't think it needs to be limited to winter colors. Okay, moving on to my favorite section, which is specific items that I think are really chic and really work for winter. The first one is a pair of luxurious pajamas. I think these are just something that scream winter to me, and I'm specifically talking about long sleeved, long bottom pajamas that I feel like you just get a lot of wear of over Christmas. I mean, whether that's actually wearing them on Christmas morning, or even that we tend to stay inside a lot more in winter. I don't know about you, but when the nights get darker, all I want to do is curl up by a fire and invite my friends over to watch movies, and I think these are really cute for that. But equally, pajamas you can just wear to bed. Most likely you have a pair of pajamas already, but I think there can be something really special in getting a winter pair that feel festive in some way. Specifically, what I think is really chic is, like I said, long sleeves, long legs with maybe some kind of like piping detail around the collar in like a silky or flannelly material, and in either some cute colors like pink or red or whatever your favorite color is, or in like a tartan print is really cute. You can get them monogrammed as well. I've seen some really sweet options out there, and my sister and I have often talked about getting a pair of matching ones, which I hope we might do this Christmas. But yeah, I think obviously if you're going to wear them outside of just going to bed, there's a few ways you can make them look really chic. For example, having a big knit over them and having the collar of that like folded over and peeking out can be really sweet. I know a few years ago there was a trend of people wearing their pajamas out on like nights out. I think specifically if they had the like feathery ones. I don't know if I would ever do that, but to be fair, if I'm running down to the shops, I think throwing over a maxi coat over a pair of long pajamas is actually really quite cool, with like a knitted cap on top or something. Kind of screams like, I don't care what I'm wearing, but I know I look good. Okay, moving on to another specific item is a nice going out top, which I've purposely made vague because this will really depend on you and your personal style and your lifestyle. But I think so many events happen around Christmas, and having a nice top you can depend on that works for things that feel a little bit more formal, feel a little bit more party-ish, can be such a crutch to your wardrobe. It's something that you can immediately pull on, feel good in, pair with something quite easy and know you still look good. Kind of that feeling of you always have something to wear when people invite you out. What to look out for is very dependent on your own personal style, and there's a whole host of things that you could choose from. I mean, sheer is very trendy this season, but I do also think it's a very timeless look, so that could be a really good option and something I'm considering for myself. Glittery is also an option. You have to think about the sustainability of sequins, but if you're buying something secondhand, then this would be negated. I also think having something that is off the shoulder or strapless is such a nice silhouette for winter, especially I think because people tend to bundle up a lot more. It can really make an impact, especially if you have like a really heavy coat draped over for your outwear, and then when you get to the place you take it off, it looks really like fashiony. It looks like you're willing to suffer for fashion. I think a general rule of thumb here is that you're looking for something that adds interest, especially because winter wardrobes can be quite dark, and having something that you can pair with everything else dark in your wardrobe and know that this is bringing interest is a really easy way to create a nice outfit, I think. And when I say something that offers interest, I don't necessarily mean color, but paying attention to a nice quality material, something that looks heavy and expensive, or something that's got a really nice texture will just jazz up a pair of jeans and boots with really little to no effort. A long skirt can look look really nice in winter, I think, but I think it comes with a caveat of it being in a heavy, expensive looking fabric. Saying that, I think this is a really versatile piece that works with a lot. Obviously you're going out tops, but also heavy knitwear. It can also look really cute with chunkier boots that a lot of us turn to in winter. But again, can't stress enough the importance of going for a nice quality material. And also I think paying attention to the silhouette of it. Like when I say a longer skirt, this could mean maxi or it could also mean mid-calf. And I think it all depends on the texture you get and what you plan to wear it with. I'm going to refer back to that Instagram picture I showed. I really like her heavy wool in this white cream. I think that would be really versatile. Equally, you could shop it in any color you like, but I think this is something that a lot of people don't think of when it comes to winter. I mean, I know I tend to turn away from skirts and dresses and go towards trousers and pants, but I think a heavy long skirt is doing the exact same job, but kind of offers a bit more of a fashiony approach. Okay, next on the list is knitwear, but specifically ski related. And I guess the overall theme of skiing, but I think knitwear is where this really shines. I have a few caveats myself for how I like this done. You don't have to follow this, but I think ski knitwear that has like a mock neck or a turtleneck and has some kind of slogan across the chest or a pattern or just some kind of like very overtly ski-ish looks really cute, even if you're not planning to go to the mountains. I tend to really like the 90s aesthetic here, and it can be something that's really easy to source vintage as well, so definitely pay attention to that. Obviously you have a classic Christmas jumper that kind of fits into this category, and I thrifted one last year that I absolutely love, but I'm thinking about also getting something specifically with a ski slogan just because I think it's really chic. It's also super easy to wear with jeans, with a longer skirt, with a mini skirt and boots, even over a dress. And you could also probably wear it to your Christmas party because it's so seasonal, especially if you're gonna wear it with a mini skirt or something, so it still looks a bit dressed up, but it'll be so comfortable. Again, I think it's so important here to focus on getting something that looks quite heavy and expensive. When something is a polyester knit, I just don't think the material pulls down in the same way as wool does. I mean, even going for something with a higher percentage of wool than polyester could work here. And as I said, thrifting is a really good way to buy this without going over your budget. Okay, next item, not going to shock anyone, but a party dress. Definitely keep in mind that this one could be avoided if you'd rather rent something and have something new every season, or just don't want to spend a lot of money on something really nice. Then renting could provide an option for that, and is something I turn to quite a bit. But equally, having a fail-safe dress that you know you can depend on, that you know is ready in the drop of a hat for last minute plans and makes you feel really good, can be a sound investment. Obviously, there's a million different styles you can go for here. It will completely depend on what you like, what makes you feel good. I do feel quite daunted about the idea of a perfect party dress because there's so much I would consider going into it, and it's probably why I haven't found one myself. But some of the things I'd be considering also apply to other areas that I've covered, like silhouette. For example, puffy sleeves are in right now, so it means you could probably get something really cute if that's your style. Also, so are ruffles. So if you like a very feminine look, then this year could be really good to invest in a perfect piece. Same with sheer and strapless. That's probably something I'm going to be looking into because I do really love that style. So this could be the year I find my own party dress. Besides the point of all that, and something I also mentioned for something else, is getting something that adds a little bit of interest in some way so that you can pop this dress on and not really have to worry about the rest of your outfit because the dress stands itself. Going for something that's not too plain and basic just means that if that's all you want to wear and you don't even want to wear jewelry and do your hair and stuff, then it will still look like you've put in a little bit of effort. If dresses aren't your thing, then there's obviously options, jumpsuits, a cord of some description, and I do think a knitted cord looks really, really sweet here and would also work if you were thinking about getting a long skirt. Then getting a matching knitwear jumper or something would mean that you have two pieces that could work together and work separately. But yeah, I think taking a little bit of time with this one could make all the difference and makes sense if you want to keep it as long as possible and make it an investment piece that you spend a little bit more money on. Which is not to say that this can't be thrifted either, because obviously so many party dresses exist now, and I'd especially recommend if you're going to be shopping for something with feathers or with sequins, which are a little bit trickier to buy sustainably, then getting these secondhand and maybe even investing in a designer secondhand piece could be the perfect solution. Okay, I kind of did mention this one in the silhouettes bit. I want to quickly mention it again. is a statement coat. Obviously, I was talking about a long maxi coat and how that can look really cool and really easy to make a statement in. But even if you want to get a different style of coat, outwear is a really easy way to make your outfit interesting every single time, because in winter it feels like our coat becomes a lot of the outfit, and getting something that really screams you, really works for your personal style, is going to keep paying off through the season. So having a statement coat either in pattern or color or fabric makes sense. Personally, like I said, I love a maxi coat. I also love a fur coat and a bomber, and I'm kind of looking at buying a couple of these pieces, not all this year, but over the years, to make sure my winter coat rotation is really filled out. Okay, last kind of specific thing I want to mention before we move on to textures is statement jewelry. I know obviously not everyone loves jewelry, but I love jewelry. I tend to wear a lot of it every day, and over Christmas especially, I do find myself drawn to it. It's a really good way to make an outfit elevated in my mind. So I would get something that feels like a statement in some way to you. So you could literally pair it with a white t-shirt and jeans and still feel like you've done something to your outfit and still feel like it feels interesting. But yeah, obviously earrings and rings are not the only things you can do. Getting a necklace, getting a belt, getting watches. We haven't really even touched on accessories for winter, which I feel maybe I've done a little oversight on, so I'll briefly mention. I think this is something, to be fair, that kind of touches on everything I've said for every single thing. I think listening to everything I said on the colors and patterns could work here, and also the section we're going to move on to with textures. But accessories in themselves are so versatile. There's a million different things you could look into getting, and I think having a couple of different options for each is a really good way to make sure you can play around with them and keep your outfits feeling fresh. I mean, having a couple of other hats in different colors and a couple of other scarves in different colors means that you can mix and match, basically vary your outfits day to day. That if you're wearing the same coat but you've changed the hat and the scarf and the gloves, then you still feel like it's new. Okay, finally, we're on to the textures section, and again, pulling at something I've been repeating myself with this video. The heavier looking, the more expensive the texture here, the better. But anyway, going into the specific textures, I think first, shearling and fur and mohair especially are really nice and feel really luxurious in winter, with the caveat that obviously if you're not comfortable buying fur, I'm not really comfortable buying fur, then getting it secondhand or vintage is a really, really good option. But I've especially been leaning towards mohair recently. I think there's just something that looks so cozy about how fuzzy it is. And I think especially in knitwear, it looks really cute. But you're not limited to knitwear for any of these. You can buy them in dresses, you can buy them in accessories. Another texture that is so classic is corduroy. It's also very, very warm. I have a pair of corduroy dungarees that I wore in a recent podcast video that have been in my wardrobe for like 4 years now. I get them out every winter and only end up wearing them maybe like 2 or 3 times a season. But I do always end up wearing them at some point because they're just so reliable and cute and warm. I also have a pair of corduroy white jeans that are a staple. They are just so versatile. I think they're one of the items I would immediately replace if all of my wardrobe disappeared and I had to start from scratch, because they just work. Final thing is leather and suede items. A little bit more controversial, something I am very thoughtful with in my wardrobe. I'm not 100% sure I love the idea of buying something suede, even though I do really like the look of it. I know it's been trending recently and I've seen some really gorgeous pieces, but it's not something I love the idea of. I certainly wouldn't buy it firsthand. Same with leather items, I wouldn't buy them firsthand, but I do think they are really nice for winter and look really heavy and expensive if you get them in the right quality. I think especially jackets can look really nice in this. If a maxi coat isn't your style, then a leather biker jacket, bomber, or a suede jacket looks really sweet. Okay, this video has gone on longer than I planned to, but I hope it was useful. Let me know any and all thoughts on what I've said or anything you want me to clarify in the comments or comment on. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to know what you guys are wearing for your winter season. Anyway, have a lovely day. Bye.